Come with me now for a helicopter ride over Ipswich, Massachusetts, with a few stops on the way. The beautiful coastal town of Ipswich was originally settled by native tribes who called the area Agawam. In 1633, John Winthrop Jr., son of the Massachusetts British governor, and a few of his friends began the first British settlement here and renamed the place Ipswich, after the town in England from which most of the new townspeople originated. The earldom of Ipswich contained many of today's surrounding communities, but now consists of 33 square miles of forests, beaches, marshes, farmland, and the Ipswich River. Hog, or Choate Island, was settled by 4 Ipswich farmers. The island lies just behind Crane's Beach. It is presently run as a preserve by the trustees of reservations. Hog Island was Ipswich territory for 185 years, but in 1819 it became part of a new town, Essex.
Way back, there were 3 working farms on here during the 1700s. Originally John Choate had a farm out here, then there was the Burnham Farm and the Proctor Farm. Eventually, the lineage at Choate site sold to the Crane family, and the Crane family gave it to the trustees of reservations in 74.
Visitors are invited to view Hog Island, the Crane Wildlife Refuge, and the historic Choate Farm. Here they can experience the abundance of nature, sightseeing, and birdwatching. The old Choate Farm barn dates from 1730 or so, and was used as recently as 1995 as an indoor movie set for the Hollywood film The Crucible. Now we're being taken to the original Choate farmhouse for a private and exclusive tour. This house has remained pretty much untouched for 283 years.
The most activity you had out here was during the day of the farming or the Agawam Indians. This was a summer home of the Agawam Indians. And down on the bank is this whole bank. If you dig into it, see the whole coast of Maine, and when we get to the top, we'll be able to see that. There was a tribe called the Tarratines that was said to be perhaps cannibalistic that would attack the Agawams every fall after they set up all their stores. But from the top of the hill, you could actually see them coming down the coast in their longboats.
So the movie The Crucible, starring Daniel Day-Lewis and Winona Ryder, was filmed on Hog Island in 1995. The film crew constructed an entire 17th century village around the Choate farmhouse. By contract, the temporary village had to be disassembled at the conclusion of the shoot. I rented a helicopter and took these one-of-a-kind shots while the village was still on site.
dates on the wall. And when you go back and check those birth dates, the letters and stuff on them were all the first initials of the second generation of children, in the children, the 15th of July, 1756. I want to show you this chimney.
With your light. And this supports the entire chimney structure all the way to the roof?
Yeah. And you saw that one fireplace that you did. There's another one on the other side.
Yeah.
So we'll go back up and we'll look at that too.
Now look at this beam here.
Yeah.
That is immense. This is the typical front hall of an 18th century home. It had the front door.
Yeah, this is, we think, 1725 to 1735.
Okay, as soon as you came in, you had the stairway upstairs, and the parlor was to the left. And
now I'm told that this,
yeah,
which opens up to the chimney, was where they stored milk during the winter to keep it from freezing.
Next to the chimney.
Yeah.
Cool.
Someone says, isn't that where they hid from Indians? And like, yeah, it's a door right there. I'm sure they would.
The Indians would have found it. Up in the Choate House attic, Dawn and I found 18th century corn cobs in between the floorboards. These had been eaten, dried, and used as attic insulation. Pretty clever.
When they had the other side going, they would probably cook more in here, even though at one time there were things that came out of the wall.
As our helicopter comes in from the sea, we first cross Plum Island. To the right, we see Great Neck and Little Neck. In front of us, on a massive hillside, is the Grand Allée of the Crane Estate Castle.
For the 375th celebration was the Jazz Ball. It was held on July 31st, and although there was a grand antique car show planned for exhibit on Crane Castle Mall, rain canceled that part of the evening. The ball itself was a great success, though, with all the locals dressed appropriately in roaring 20s style. Perhaps you'll recognize yourself or some of your neighbors. Let's take a look. One wonders how there can be so many amazing places in Ipswich. Crane Castle is certainly one of them. And what better place to hold a 375th birthday dance party? As evening approached, the rain abated sufficiently so that the photographer and videographer were able to record some very happy guests outside in front of the Grand Alley. This really added to the fun and spirit of the evening.
Oh.
Hey.
Paul. James Paul. Got each kid raised $2,000 last year. No idea how to do this.
As if to apologize for canceling some of the evening's events, Mother Nature compensated by providing the partygoers with a magnificent sunset over Ipswich Bay.
Let's leave the Crane estate and head up Argilla Road towards town. We'll pass over some very scenic farmland on the way, including Russell's Orchard and Maplecroft Farm. As we begin to fly into downtown, I can't help but consider how much this area has changed in its more than 375 years of existence. Downtown Ipswich has seen a lot of history pass it by, such as America's first revolution, and the tavern where both George Washington and the Marquis de Lafayette ate. We still have the glass that Lafayette drank from. Ipswich is one of those locales you see in travel magazines. It's the quintessential old New England town. Ipswich existed as an English colony for 142 years before the United States was formed. It forms the roots of American society, and its residents are very proud of their long heritage. From Town Hill, one can see both the skyline of Boston to the south and the mountains of Maine to the north.
Lincoln Minutemen with their fifes and their drums representing the year 1602.
I should say each century had a color guard and an antique car carrying the dignitary inside of it.
Some camp followers for the Lincoln Minutemen. As I recall, they stopped at a few spots along the parade route and gave a salute, a volley, shot off their rifles, and that was pretty exciting for the people around them because those muskets are pretty loud.
Let's celebrate May Day and the season's reopening of the Hurd House and Whipple House museums with the Ipswich Moving Company dance troupe. Now the helicopter has made a 180-degree turn and is flying parallel to Topsfield Road toward town. We cross Washington Street, the railroad tracks, Central Street, the Winthrop School, and finally High Street towards the wharf. Hi there. Today we're behind the Ipswich River at the EBSCO Publishing Company, and I have with us a guest, Alan Pearsall, who is responsible for this magnificent mural on the back of the EBSCO building. How are you, sir?
Thank you. Hi.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how this mural came to be?
Yeah, EBSCO Publishing hired me, the people who own the building here. They donated the land for the town. I'm a local artist. I've done work with them before on some of their websites, illustration and some graphic design.
Yep.
And they were looking for a muralist, and they knew that I did this, so they called me in. And they didn't really have a concept, but I've been wanting to do one of these historical sort of Diego Rivera murals for a long time. So I did a giant sketch, and it got approved, and they let me pretty much.
Who did all the historical research on this?
I did. It took me almost a year just to prepare for the mural, like about 8 months to do the research and the sketch itself. Because I do an inch
very,
equals a
very
foot.
busy. There's all things.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit of what's going on here?
This first arch, each arch represents about 100 years here. This first arch is the Ipswich before the English came, and it was called Agawam. It was an Indian village for thousands of years. And here's the signing of when, I'm sorry, yes, Chief Masco, my high school. Chief Masco sold the land to John Winthrop Jr., son of the governor, when they were the first settlers here. And then over here, this represents a woman from Ipswich was hung as a witch, and that's the old jail. There was only 2 jails in America in the early years, and Ipswich was one of them. A lot of the witches stayed there before they went on trial. Right, here is the birth of American independence. Ipswich brags about being the first people to go against the crown, and they did it 100 years before the Revolution. Right, this sort of represents the Revolution era.
This last panel has an awful lot of busy people going across the Choate Bridge, right? What's that all about?
That's Benedict Arnold. He stayed at...
Benedict Arnold?
Yes.
In Ipswich?
Yes, when he was a good guy.
Oh, right. Good guy, all right.
Yeah, him and he's also Aaron Burr was actually with him too. He was a lieutenant, and they when they went to invade Canada during the Revolution, he took 500 men, and they stayed here on the green.
Well, I know Washington was here, and General Lafayette was here. We've done that before. And now how do you go about? Oh, okay. How do you go about doing this? You said you start with a black and white drawing or something.
No, I did a full color sketch, and an inch equals a foot. Okay. So that way, and then I grid the wall up, and then I just repaint it basically. But I use a grid on the small one and make my foot size grid up here.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's and I paint it just like I'd paint any other painting. I do an underpainting, and the tough thing is it's on brick. I mean, you see it from a distance, it looks nice and flat, but you look up it, it's very
Now, one other
difficult.
thing, Alan, how does Ipswich plan on using this area once everything is finished?
Well, it's to attract tourists, but also for the people who live here. They're going to have picnic tables and big plant pots, and you can see there you got their lamps up here, and it'll be so you can do a loop in the town kind of as a tourist. You know, there's the Whipple House is right over here. You know, kind of a lot of the little shops and the ice cream place. So it'll be nice when it's all done.
Great. Thanks, Alan. We appreciate it.
Sure. You bet.
Bye now. As long as we're downtown, let's look at a few of the businesses that have helped make Ipswich famous. so we have completed a full circle around Ipswich, arriving once again at Ipswich Bay and the sea. We'll cross Great Neck and Little Neck, and then perform one last flyover above Crane Castle before landing back at New England Biolab Field. Thanks for joining me on this helicopter flight over Ipswich. It really shows the beauty of this popular area. And until I see you again on the next Let's Visit show, this is your host, Dave Welsh, saying au revoir.